Hello, thanks everyone so much for being here. I see some familiar faces, which is so exciting. Thanks for coming back. We really love to share more information and resources with everyone. And also just to say hi and see how you fit. So please, maybe there's some time afterwards to check in. My name's Ella and my pronouns are they, them. Soft Noise Skillshare was started by Meredith Haynes, who is not here right now because of COVID. So sad, but she's doing well, so that's okay. I am also part of Soft Noise Skillshare, and I'm going to be just kind of filling her shoes for giving the introduction. Normally she's super boisterous, but I feel a little bit smaller right now, so forgive me. But started in, I believe, 2020. Out of High Concept Labs, which, like ESS, is a really great resource for more performative media, sound media, and often has residencies that are great programming. Meredith, as a resident there, started in Soft Noise Skillshare as a resource for people who aren't gender non-conforming, women, non-binary, trans people, etc., gender expansive people, maybe not cis male-oriented resource sharing within noise and sound media. So we are really excited for Xadie to show some wonderful approaches to contact mics and how they can be used in really general ways and then more specific. And I think that this is a setup that Xadie uses that is really experimental, but has a really wide range of options. And I'm super excited to kind of get a look into how contact mics can be looked at as not just sound sources. Yeah, if you have any questions about Soft Noise Skillshare after all of this loveliness, please, feel free to talk to me today, or we can, we have an email, we have Instagram, you can keep up with us there. And we're always trying to, hear more from what you all would like to see next time. Without further ado, Xadie, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Mel. Hi, y'all.
Hello.
It's good to see you. My name is Xadie. I'll introduce myself again. A little bit about me. I am newer to Chicago, about a year and some months now. From Colorado, Denver specifically. It's my hometown, and my partner is from Chicago and moved back. So here I am. I've always been to Chicago a lot and always really enjoyed it. And being a musician and an artist it's a really great place to be. So it's nice being here. I am a music teacher at the Old Town School of Folk Music, teaching multiple instruments. I specialize in double bass, doing mostly classical music, but also jazz and some other things as well, and then teaching a lot of cello and piano actually there. The how I kind of got into the contact mic thing, it was a brainchild. I picked up drums when I was in this 2-person band, and we didn't have a drummer, and I wanted to we wanted to put drums on our record, so I learned how to play drums somewhat, and started messing around with this idea in my head of using triggers or contact microphones to set off different samples and instruments and loops and things like that. And it went through a few different iterations of me messing around with it. first I was just kind of like using these really cheap microphones that you can buy or make, just like contact microphones. Has anyone used contact microphones in here before? Oh yeah, cool. Bunch of nerds in here. I love it. Yeah, and so I started by plugging directly into my interface and just kind of makeshifting a few different ways to trigger things. Ultimately, I kind of moved away from doing it in my computer and using this drum pad. It's an SPD SX. It has like some outputs that you can use to hook up triggers, which essentially these are just like, when I first started doing it, I hooked up, I would just tape the contact microphones directly to my drums, and then after like breaking them like almost every single show, I ended up like buying some nicer triggers, but these are essentially just contact microphones. You can actually like see the little guy inside, and it's the same thing. It just has kind of like a little protector on it. And hooking that up to my drum set, and I would load samples into it. Just kind of come up with let's see. One of the cool things about using this setup is that you're limited to how many sounds you can use. You've got 9 pads and then 4 drums. So what's that? What's math? 13 possibilities for like individual tones, right? So imagine you had like a keyboard with 13 keys on it is kind of how I imagine it. And I think like having that like limited amount of variety can give you, I don't know, makes it, what am I trying to say? It's like helps creativity, I don't know. And yeah, so I don't know, first thing I want to do is just kind of show you some of the instruments that I built on here, and talk about the way that the samples and the pads like interact with each other. I don't have my full drum set up here. The project that I do this under is called Meek, M-E-E-K. It's very like queer forward, kind of like noisy music. I play drums, and then Meek is also like a character as well, and so I'll do like vocals and stuff on top of it, and yeah, it's just like based around drum set. You have a question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind going back to like, what is a contact mic?
Oh no,
not
at all.
I was talking about that outside, and I was like, I think that the way it works is it amplifies the sound on a surface rather than like a sound going through the air.
Mm-hmm.
I've used them a little bit, like played with them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, if you have insight into like how they work differently than a regular microphone. Also, if you like a certain type that you order online, and then also like when you're attaching them to the drum, would you attach them to like the head of the drum or the side of the drum?
Those are awesome questions. Thank you. So contact microphone, and I'll do my best to answer. I'm like also wondering some of these things now. But a contact microphone is essentially the same thing as a microphone. But it's like pretty low powered. So a microphone is essentially just like a speaker in reverse. And that's like basically what this little guy is. It's kind of like just like a tiny little speaker, but in reverse. And because it's not particularly high definition or nice at like picking up a lot of like external sound, it will still pick up external sound, but it's not very good at it. So you get most of the information by just attaching it to surfaces, and it like catches the vibrations. I recently became aware of somebody online who does like I do some like field recording stuff, and they've been like attaching contact microphones to like various like industrial things out in the world. Like a couple notable examples are they like connected it to like an escalator as they were like going down the escalator, and it just sounds so, I don't know, like awesome. Really cool. You know, it's like you're getting like an inside you know, like a look inside like a giant machine or something like that. Like because it's like picking up all the vibrations, it's kind of like larger than life, right? And so you can get really cool source sounds from using contact microphones. I've used it with recording too. It usually sounds really like bad, but in a cool way. You end up like getting a lot of clipping and distortion, because if you're like hitting it with drums, it's like it might be like bouncing around a little bit and making weird sounds, you know. But you can also just attach it to a surface that you are vibrating in some sort of way. Like if I was playing bass or something like that, or a bowed instrument that was touching the ground, especially like low frequency things, like low frequencies travel through really dense surfaces, it would pick up a lot of those vibrations. And that's why it's good for like picking up industrial things like machines and stuff like that, because it's getting all those really low sound waves that are kind of cutting through dense surfaces. And so in that way it works for that. And then, am I answering all these questions?
Yeah. I was asking like where you would place it on the drum, and also like if you have a type that you recommend like to buy.
Yeah. So I was buying these little guys. I don't know. They're just like they're really cheap. Like when I bought them, they were on like Amazon or something like that, but you could probably find them, I think you can get them like on like Radio Shack, which it still exists somehow. They're not like, they're like unbranded mostly, you know. You can also buy the transducers, which is like the little microphone part, and it's just, is it okay if I take those apart?
I wouldn't. It's gonna break. I have done.
What's that?
For those I
okay.
know because of that.
Okay, cool. I won't. And the transducer it's just like, let me demonstrate this a different way. If you've ever like looked at it's just like this part of the microphone essentially. You know, it's like the part that's getting, that's vibrating and getting sound. It's moving like back and forth. And there's two little parts of it, like a positive and a negative. And you can actually buy just the transducers by themselves. And has anybody done any soldering in here? Hell yeah. I'm kind of like a baby solderer. I've done a little bit, but
A baby solder.
yeah, you know, like
sounds different.
Again, I solder babies. no, like I'm not. I've only done a little bit, but so I'm sure there's people that have more knowledge about it than I do. But essentially, you can just get a like a 1/4-inch connector and connect the wires directly to and solder it directly to the little microphone and make them. And you can buy those in bulk, and again they're like really low quality. They break really easily, but that's kind of like what's so awesome about them is that they're, you know, it's, you know, I think that's like what gives it the charm. You can like stick it in in like a place that you wouldn't put like a nice microphone or something like that, if you wanted to like record something in the mud or something. I saw somebody online freeze one actually, and they recorded like as it was like the ice was melting and breaking and cracking, and it sounded really cool. The possibilities are really endless. But contact microphones, they're really cool for getting weird sounds. But the way that I'm using contact microphones is I'm using it to get past a threshold, and that threshold is setting off another sound that you can choose of your choosing. And for the most part, I've used it to trigger various samples and things that I've kind of like put together. So I'll just like record something and then put it in my little machine here, or onto my DAW or something like that. And you can set the parameters in a specific way, and I'll show us a little bit more about that once we like jump into it. And when it gets enough sound, when you cross a certain threshold, it will trigger whatever sample you have kind of lined up with it. And that's the way that I use contact microphones. Yeah. Does that answer all your questions? Does anybody else have any questions before I kind of show you my little setup here? And then, yeah, any questions?
If I may,
Yeah.
just really quickly, as a ceramicist,
Yes.
I know a lot about contact mics, and I also wanted to say Soft Noise Skillshare had a Skillshare about making contact mics. So I'm happy to provide more resources if you'd like to know more. If I can just briefly explain the contact mic, not to step on your toes.
No, please. I
They're made from, they're called piezoelectric discs, and they use piezoelectric ceramic crystals. They're basically
That's
like
the word that I was looking
tiny
for.
little fragments of clay that they fire in a bond, like glue. The glue burns off, then they put it in a mold, and so basically you have this like semi like conductive thing, I guess, and it picks up vibrations. It only works on the vibrations, not like it doesn't really receive any of the audio in the air like vibrating. It can when you turn up really loud, but basically like they're so sensitive that they're used in most like truck stop like weight measuring things, lots of car parts that need to be very precise, so they can pick up really precise vibrations because of these tiny ceramic crystals.
Oh, cool.
So it's on a plate of copper. You would solder 2 points on them, and then there you go. So you just get a hot iron. Yeah, not to derail, but I wanted to just give like a little.
No, thanks. Yeah, that's really helpful. I didn't know.
And those ones, Soft Noise Skillshare got a bunch of them for really cheap on Amazon, which I don't, we don't condone, but we have to do for our lack of fun.
Yes, we live in a world. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Cool. So my setup here. Put my drumsticks. I basically just have a bunch of different instruments that I can cycle through, and each instrument is just like I connect them to all the different drums, and it'll set up different samples. So I'll kind of give you an example here. And currently, this one is re-triggering, so I can interrupt what I'm doing by hitting it again. It'll start the sample over, right? And with like a cyclical thing like that, you can make kind of like loops and things like that. And so when I'm doing this with the drums, it's easy to like play with those rhythms, right, and kind of come back and forth.
Can you back way up?
Yeah.
So what are you hitting? What is that playing through? Is that through a DAW? Like what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Thank you for asking.
It's very left field. Take it back.
Yeah. So everything that I'm doing right now is all through this, not through my computer. It's not through my interface or anything. It's all through this
Okay, so
this drum
that's a
pad.
sequence. That's a sequence you've programmed.
And I just recorded it it's an audio file, so it's not like I'm using
What is that?
an audio file.
No, but like what is the sound? What is the sound?
What is it specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know anymore. It was from a software instrument that I used.
Okay.
Most of the sounds that I used for this project were from this this thing called Samples from Mars. They just sampled like a bunch of old drum machines and old synthesizers and stuff like that, and you can kind of use them.
What's it called?
Samples from Mars,
Okay.
and you can get like their whole collection for like really cheap, and they're also like not super gatekeepy about it, so you can like download all the files. Like if you're like strapped for cash, I will literally give you the files.
Oh.
But they're also pretty cheap to just like buy the whole thing. I think I paid $30 for like the entire collection, and it's even bigger now. I haven't looked at it since, but they have like 808s and like all the really famous drum machines and the synthesizers and stuff. And you can just like play it right in your.
One more question. What's the name of your drum pad? What's the name of your drum pad or like?
This is an SPD SX is what it is. It's
Thank
a
you.
Roland SPD SX. And so I kind of use this as my brain here. This is my computer when I do what I do.
So when you hit something, the contact mic picks up that vibration. That vibration then plays the sample. So I think it's important to focus on it's the trigger itself, not necessarily you can put any sample in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can.
I was just curious if that exact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. It's just like a keyboard, and I went in and I just like the way my process is like I'll go into whatever I use Logic personally, and I'll just like kind of write some ideas, you know what I mean, and then I stick them all into my thing, and it's like it's a bunch of like random ideas, but they all are kind of cohesive in a different way. And then I put it on the drum set, and then I like kind of see what I can come up with is the idea. So it's like I like build an instrument is the idea, and then that like each instrument turns into its own song usually. Some of them just kind of go nowhere, but it's just like it's a fun like process. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question that is so stupid it might be smart. Why do you use drums?
Why do I use drums?
Yeah, like technically you could hit anything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you could definitely use anything, and I think that's like one of the reasons why this workshop is cool, because I like there are so many like creative people in here, and you can literally do this with anything. You could attach it to your body, you could attach it to the floor, you could attach it to things that you step on. You could use it like in dance or like sound art. It's the possibilities are like really endless.
So did you use drums just because you were learning to use drums when you?
I like to play drums,
Okay.
and it's something that I'm pretty good at, and it kind of works with the way that my brain works, and. I don't know. It's just kind of the vehicle that I chose to do it from. I kind of like the idea of like, because I'm using it with drums when I'm triggering something, I'm like triggering a sound, but I'm also playing the drums too. So it's like those two things like kind of melding with each other, and it kind of creates like this bigger experience. The way that I actually do like my full setup is I have like all the bass samples plugged into a bass amp, and then all the like higher end samples, like higher frequency samples attached to a guitar amp, and so it's kind of like a one-person band sort of situation. Yeah. And so every time I'm hitting this, wait, did you have something?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So the contact mic is routed to the trigger in input of the Roland SPD-SX.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's like the most important part of what's happening here. Like, what's the threshold like on that trigger in? Is that customizable at all from within? So you can customize the threshold.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, totally. You can customize. You can do it right in the. Again, this is like my computer for it, and it's
Right.
pretty like. It takes it. It's very,
doing like all the DSP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like again because it's like a little bit limited. I like doing that, but
Right.
so you're just like setting a threshold, and there's a bunch of different parameters that you can kind of mess around with. You can also change whether it is like dynamic. So if I hit it hard, if like the sound is louder, is the trigger going to be louder?
Like the velocity.
Yeah, exactly.
Automation. Yeah.
Yeah. So the with this one particularly, I don't think there are any dynamics, so it's going to be the same volume every time I hit it.
That's the nature of the trigger, or just the configuration?
Just the configuration on
Yeah.
this one. I have other ones where it let's find one where it changes.
And these you just upload through the USB connection, like you just put them into.
Actually, I specifically had somebody built a really good program that like it kind of brings up the little pad thing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it's just like a freeware thing that somebody built, and so it makes it pretty easy to upload it.
Yeah.
You can kind of like do it just right on my computer, but you can also do it via USB. That just takes forever.
Are there any like smaller? And this is my last question. Are there any like smaller, cheaper devices that have that sort of like 1/4-inch trigger in sort of feature built in?
Yeah, I think they have like individual trigger things that you can buy.
Okay.
I believe they're also Roland. I can't think of like specifically what they are. I'm not very good at gear stuff, like remembering what gear is what.
No, me neither. It's all just letters. And
But they do exist. Yeah, totally. It's just like letters and
cool.
and
That's
numbers.
all I need to know. Thank
My
you
brain
so
is
much.
just like blah. But they definitely exist, like little one-shot triggers, and you can use them. And it's essentially just like a contact microphone, but like a little bit more protected, so you don't like end up destroying it.
Right.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's that, right? Oops. Yeah, I changed it. Different. So the way that this one's working also, and these are all parameters that I can do in here. The setup that I'm going to show you on here is like a little bit more primitive because it's I'm using like a free VST, and so you can't do quite all of the things that you can do with this. But one of the cool things that you can do with this is I have it set up so that the snare sample is muting the other sample, so it can kind of switch between them like this. Around with it and get different rhythms and things like that. Yeah, and other things that I like to use it that I like to do with this are you can use it to let's see. Use it to loop samples. So as soon as I start the sample, and I can have a drum do this. It's just like looping something that I built. I just like basically made like a track in my DAW, and then I'm just using it. It's turned it into an audio file and dropped it in there, and it's just like on a constant loop, right? It's also re-triggering, so like every time I hit it, it'll start over. And then I can like make it so that one of the triggers will just turn it off. That's kind of like the basics of that. What else does this thing do? I talked about like having I think I've kind of like gotten away from using dynamics in it as much, just because it's like a little bit more straightforward if you don't use the dynamics. But I think that for like a performance art sort of situation, I think like using dynamics could be really cool, because I don't know, it just gives you like more range of the sounds that you're using. Yeah, so that's my setup, and that this instrument and this setup is what I use for that project called Meek, right? And now I want to jump into my computer and kind of show you like a way that you can do it on your own. And the software that I'm using is free. I'm using Logic, but you can use this software with any DAW. I feel like most people are probably comfortable with DAWs in here. Cool.
DAW is Digital Audio Workstation.
Yeah. Yeah, so Digital Audio Workstation like Logic or Ableton or GarageBand or Cubase or Audacity.
That's a free one, right?
Yeah, that one's
It's
free.
decent.
There's a few free ones. Reaper is another free one.
The
Yeah.
class is free?
Yeah.
Well, like it's free in the same way that WinRAR is free.
In with it.
It's free if you never pay for it.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, it's like freeware philosophy.
Exactly,
right? Yeah, it's
exactly.
like you can pay for it, and you know if you have the means, it's like good to support people that make things like that because it's better for the world. Yeah. So.
Is it helpful if I turn this off?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Just one.
Cool. Sorry, just taking a little water break here.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I may have zoned out and missed this, but where is the contact mic in that setup? Or are they?
Yeah, so I have one attached. I have one attached to the snare drum, and it's in this little casing right here. Yeah, these are like specifically built so that they can fit onto drums, but essentially it's just like a contact microphone. You can see the little piezo inside there, and the vibrations are just like setting it off. You can also like adjust the pressure with these little guys, and so it's kind of nice. Go ahead.
The contact mic being plugged into a 1/4-inch cable suggests that it's sending like analog audio signal into the Roland SPD-SX, but what's coming out of it, is it a MIDI signal that it's being converted to that's coming out of it into the laptop when you combine them?
So currently, everything in here is an audio signal that's coming out. They're all samples that I've loaded in, so I'm not using any MIDI, but it does trigger MIDI, so you could take this and get MIDI information from all of these on top of that. So that's like, I've done that a little bit with my recordings where it's like I get all the sounds and stuff that I'm recording. The actual, this is like a little weird, but yeah, so I'm getting all of the actual analog sounds that are like coming out of here that I've already recorded and put in here. They're audio files.
Yeah.
Everything that everything that you're hearing from this is an audio file.
Right.
and then but there's also MIDI information that you could like grab and put into your DAW.
And you would have to configure that.
Yeah.
Custom configure that.
Yeah, exactly. You just hook it up with MIDI, and you could get both, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then you could like.
But by default, everything that's happening in the drum pad is audio.
Yeah.
Not MIDI triggering audio.
No, it's not MIDI triggering audio, but it is creating MIDI information also.
That you can choose to use.
Yeah,
if you
you
would
can
like
choose
to
to
do
use
that.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah,
cool. Thank
totally.
you.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. You guys have such good questions. Go ahead.
One other, on that, contact mic
Uh-huh.
that you have there, have you used it on a piano or a cello?
Yeah, I have a little bit, and mostly I've used contact microphones in those settings to like get those kind of experimental sounds.
I was just thinking about that one in particular. I've used the other contact mics on it, but I was just wondering if that one.
Oh,
might
this
give
one
you
specifically?
More possibilities.
I haven't tried, but I don't see why not. It's anything's possible. I'm a big advocate for using things the wrong way, and so I think that's like totally, yeah. I mean, it's got a little thing so you could clamp it onto another instrument, any instrument really, anything that like you could get to make sound, a piano, anything.
So if you did it with your cello, you would have the sound, you could be playing something with the cello, but also if you had it on a certain string, would you have it on the string or would you have it on the wood?
I would maybe put it like on the bridge or like on the body, something that's like getting a lot of vibrations.
Okay. Okay.
Is how I would approach it, but you could do it like directly on the string, and why not? And then it would make it sound kind of cool and weird, like prepared piano or prepared instruments or
Plus
something like that.
Plus it would stimulate a new sound.
Yeah, exactly. And with the setup that I'm going to show in here, you can actually use both like the actual sound from the microphone and the triggered sound. You can like blend the two together. So you could use the source from that.
I bet that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think like one of the things I really like it is because it's like not very beautiful also, but I find that to be beautiful. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's that setup. That's Meek, and that's all outside of the box. What I'm going to show you is just in my interface. It doesn't matter like what interface you're using. You could use like any interface. I guess you could do it without an interface at all. Just directly into your computer. What's that?
That was my question actually about the interface. So to record it into Digital Audio Workstation, you need an interface, right?
Mm-hmm.
To connect the contact mic.
Yeah.
Is it connected right now to your interface?
Yeah. So this setup is not, but I do have. Here, I'll show you. I'm gonna start actually. The first thing I'm gonna do is just like a microphone. This is just like this cheap little Radio Shack microphone that I used to perform with that is like kind of broken. But I'll. And I want us to like kind of collaborate and maybe like build some sounds on our own to do this. But we'll set up 6 different triggers, and I'll just kind of hand them out so we can like bat them around and make some sounds with it. But this first one, I just kind of pulled a random sample up. Okay, so here is the freeware sample that I found. There used to be a different one that I used years ago, and I can't find it anymore. I don't know. So this is like a newer one that I found that is pretty good. It's called Sample Swap, and it's free. And you can use it. It's just a VST that you can use with pretty much any DAW. There's some other ones that I you know, if you look up like samplers, a lot of the like nicer ones that have more of the capabilities of like this machine are a little bit more expensive, anywhere from like $40 to like $150, which is pretty expensive in my opinion. It'd be really awesome. And it made me want to like build VSTs, which I've never done, but it's just like this should be free. But this one's free. And then there's one that is specifically for Ableton that looks really good, that I can't remember the name of right off the top of my head, but that one was only $9. And that one looks like, that's probably like the cheapest, like best one that I ever saw out there in the world. But this one's really cool, and again, I like it because it has like limited options. So it is I don't know. It forces you to be like creative with it, right? The sample that I put into this. Let's run this real quick. So right now I'm just using this microphone, and it's already triggering this.
So do you just load it into a MIDI track or the track or the clip in the digital? Okay.
Yeah, totally. So I can I'll load a different one. Let's go in here real quick. And go to my, it's really small. How do I get to my desktop? Who's better at computers than me?
I think it's usually under users.
Users?
Yeah, if you look at the back.
So the drum pad's not in contact with the situation. It's just
Well, it is more or less, right?
Right.
The pads themselves are like, you know,
precious.
yeah.
Sensitive
Yeah,
vibration.
they're just like nice drum pads. It's like a little bit more high tech than a contact microphone specifically. So I'll grab this little field recording of birds, and I just loaded it directly in. You can kind of see the wave up there. I don't know how large this is. Oh yeah, so it says the birds, and that's my wave file in here. I've got the replace level, which just means like how loud it is. I have it turned down because the samples can be kind of loud. The dry versus wet is like how much you hear of me versus how much you hear of the sample. So currently, the threshold is really low, and I've set off the sample. The sample is just running right now. If I turn up the wet, then it's only sample, it's not getting any of my microphone. But right now the file is just playing because I don't have the re-trigger set on, so it's not restarting every time I do it. But if we grab something different, like this, and you can see the threshold gives you like a little visualizer of the audio, and when it goes above these little lines right here, it sets off the trigger. Now, if I click on this, every time I I go about that threshold, it'll retrigger. Trigger. 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 Hello? 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 Hello?
That's so dope.
And I have it turned down so low right now that it's just like from the ambient sound, it's like kind of doing it over and over and over again. So I kind of mess around with those things until you get it where you want it. Something like this. And then there it is. And it's this same sort of concept that we do with the contact microphones. And now we'll set up some contact microphones. You had a question? Wait, somebody had a question. I saw a hand. Let me go ahead. Cool. So, go ahead.
So this is basically like a software stand-in for the part of the drum pad that's saying when I hear a sound, I make a decision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was trying to ask. Was like, can I get that process without buying the thing that you have?
Right. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
eventually I got to this, but this is where I started, was just like messing around with this. But I don't I didn't like bringing my computer to dive bars.
Yeah, that's
and,
so real.
and so then I ended up messing around with this guy, and it helped me in a lot of ways. But I don't know. There's got to be other ways to do it, and also the possibilities are endless. I know that I've scratched the surface of it, and I've found one really cool way that works for me. But the idea is that you can take this and create something just as cooler than what I've done. You know what I mean? Is the idea. Cool. So let's I don't know, do another one. We will start with this guy. So this is hooked up to a contact microphone, and I'm just gonna put it directly on here. And these have little tape guys on them, so you can just affix it to whatever. They wear out pretty quick, but now you've got the contact microphone on this table.
No, you have to throw it at it, or where is that?
What's that?
You have to throw it at it, or where is that?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably just
Double-sided tape?
yeah, use double-sided tape, or just gaff tape it down or something. You put tape over the top of it is usually what I do. Yeah, because it'll definitely wear out after not too many times. But and again, it's disposable stuff. They're not very fancy. And then the ones that I was talking about with the piezo's that you buy by themselves, they don't have any tape on them, so you just have to affix them some sort of way. So let's put something on here. Any sound ideas from anybody? We could pull.
Tap on the tape.
What's that?
Just tap on the tape and anything, right?
Yeah, we could actually get the sound from that and then sample it back in. That would be pretty meta. I like that idea a lot. I'm gonna turn this down just in case.
Can you use a microphone cable with that, or only 1/4 inch to connect to?
These ones have 1/4 inch connections, but you could hook up an XLR pretty easy.
Yeah, actually, the connection is going to give you a lot of different options. If you plug in with an XLR, i.e. what you have with your microphone, right, that has a lot more what you'd call headroom. So you have the ability to turn up way louder without as much feedback. It's a balanced signal, so it cuts the ground tom, as in the like when you turn on this sound. If you were to use a 1/4 inch, you're gonna have that ground tom because it's not a balanced signal. So that's more in terms of like audio technical, like soldering the actual cables in your cable. Yeah, I would recommend trying it. Try a 1/4 inch to try a stereo 1/4 inch to an XLR. Put that in a mixer or your interface or just an amplifier, and you can get some crazy low tones. So that's a really good way if you were going to process your audio and try this out. I would do that. You just got to be wary of feedback.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
So I'm just gonna. Sorry. That's pretty cool. I don't know.
Is this from the Mars themed sample pack?
It might be.
But you didn't go through and categorize those all like noise, hit.
No.
I was gonna say that's like next level organization.
No, I'm not that organized. Most of the sounds that I get and stuff like the field recording and things, I'll put like dates on them and stuff like that. And if it's ones that I really like, it's like, oh.
Mine's like maybe there's a year if I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's hard to do. I'm not this kind of type A. No, it's the samples from Mars. They're like so good at
That's awesome.
like, doing all this. I like this one. Why not? You know, get some noise in here. So I just go into my plugin, and I think this is in audio units. So for sounds, sample swap, drop it in here, right here. I'm going to turn down the replace level just so it doesn't blow our ears out. And I wonder if I can actually, let's see, I don't know if this works this way or not. I'm going to try it. It'd be nice if you could just drop it directly in. Yes. So you can just drop it right in. So now we have a sample in that. Keep on hitting it. And I turn my threshold down. Turn up my microphone. Oh wait. I also need to change which input it's coming in from.
Is the mic still there? Is it?
Yeah. It's on. I'm not getting anything.
Is it because of your dry-wet balance?
Well, I've got it all the way to wet. So it should be good, but I'll turn it down just in case. I'm just not getting any signal for some reason.
This is supposed to be like the audio wave that you showed us before, remember? It was like the sample, and now I cannot see that wave at all.
Probably something simple. And sometimes these are just like broken to begin with. I don't know. I've had that experience in the past with these. So maybe I'll just try another one real quick. Let's see. We won't fix this one right away.
That's good enough.
Oh, this is this microphone right here. I am getting something in there. Oh, sorry. I just have it routed wrong. It's my fault. Should work now. Now I'm gonna turn down that threshold. There it is. Let's try it with this over here. Connect to the table. So the idea is that you could get it to trigger from the surface itself. So if I turn down that threshold, try hitting the table. A little more. Keep going. So I had to turn the threshold like way down for these triggers, right? There it is. And then I can re-trigger it. You can also change like how long, how many milliseconds it takes before it'll do like a re-trigger, right? If you don't want it to just like continuously re-trigger, you know? Yeah, but it's pretty simple. Okay, so we have one sound. Is it just like happening from the...
No, not anymore.
Yeah. Okay, let's find something else. Like these like flute notes. These aren't from the samples from Mars. I'm not sure where these are from. These might be from Logic, honestly. So, go in again, and go to the audio units, put in another sampler, change my input to the right one, and just drop this directly into it. And maybe put it like directly on this chair or something.
Sure. Or somewhere where.
But again, like I don't know, you could take these ideas and I don't know, do anything with it. I imagine like it'd be really cool to do with like dance or something like that. If you put them on like pads that people were dancing on or something along those lines. It could be like a really cool application, like for like sound installation. I'll turn the re-trigger down so you can do it like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and piece of cake, right? You could even, and again, you can do that like wet, dry signal. I wonder what it sounds like if you mix it wet and dry. Like that.
I can hear the actual like tapping.
Yeah,
Because you like mix in that dry.
yeah, exactly.
Signal.
So you could
I
get
love
that signal from it, right?
And mix, yeah.
And so, I mean, if you
No,
mix
that's
that with
right.
something that's like really, I don't know,
Yeah.
ethereal, like something cool, like sheet metal or something,
Yeah.
is like, would sound really dope.
That's great, you can control it in real time, you know, with the dry pad.
Yeah.
Just mid kicking of the chair and working that actual sound.
Let's add another one. And you can see how, like, you know, if depending on how many, like, I have 6 inputs here, so I can do 6 different sounds, right?
Right.
It's just like this has, you know, up to like
9.
13 total, because there's like 4 that I can attach
Yes.
outside of the pads, right?
Right.
Or 13 total, yeah. But I don't know. You can just build
That's cool.
it however you want. I think another, like, if you don't have the re-trigger on and you have something that's like
Awesome.
that's like a longer sample. Here, let's see if we can find actually a longer sample. This is like a random cello thing that I did forever ago.
So you're recording?
Yeah, it's a recording. So put this in here, drop it in. And if you don't have the re-trigger on, let's see.
It'd be like basically just hitting the play button. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. And hit the play button.
Yeah.
And if you turn that threshold down enough, you know, like
Right.
it would just end up replaying as soon
Yeah.
as it finishes, right? And so you can use that to actually like create loops,
Yeah.
you know? So like as soon as it starts, it's just like constantly looping. So you can
Yeah.
have like one thing constantly looping while other things are triggering other things. You know, it's like the ways that I kind of think of this. Do you want to hold that one?
Want me to attach it anywhere or just?
Sure, if you want to.
I need to take it off, right?
Yeah, you're welcome to it.
For now or something. It's fine.
Turn down that threshold.
Anything. Oh, okay, yeah.
Go for it. See if we're getting some. Did you put it on the floor?
Yeah. Now we can all do the same thing. Wait, but it just triggered. It just started.
Yeah, I just started it. So it's like, this is like a long recording, right? And it's not re-triggering, so it's just gonna play the entire recording all the way through, right?
Now
But
we
if
can
I,
mix it with the other channels, right?
yeah, and those are still active, so you can use them.
If you're gonna touch the dry, wet knob with this cello sample, it's not gonna do anything because it's a lot. It's basically on the loop, right? So
Yeah.
I assume if you're gonna just make 20%, it's not gonna make any difference. Can you please do that for me?
Yeah.
On the cello sample, you're just gonna turn it down, the dry knob.
Oh yeah, totally. So like,
It's
all
probably
the
not gonna do
way.
anything at this point.
Well, if I'm turning it to the dry side, it's going to the signal that we're getting in there, right? So it should technically be turning down.
Oh, the trigger button is on, so that's why it's gonna ring. What if you're gonna just turn it off? It's not gonna do anything.
So the re-trigger is not on currently. Now it's on, so it should re-trigger if you do it again. It will start over. Wait, sorry, I have a threshold too. Go for it. It just, it requires like a good amount of time of just like experimenting with it and like figuring out like what works
Right.
for whatever setup you kind of got going on,
Wait, where is it now? Is it on your heel?
It's on the floor.
Oh, okay. That'd be cool if you like attached it to the heel of your shoe.
Yeah,
And then every
totally.
time you step. Like not necessarily on the bottom, but like.
And that's like, we're getting so much dry signal right now, and so you get all that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're really getting a sound.
Because it's a long sample, so it basically works as the volume, sort of like the dry wet. Just trying to.
It should resample now.
Oh, now you can actually hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's loud here too.
Oh shit, that's amazing. So people use this to just amplify instruments too, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Contact microphones specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're like a really cool. So with the re-triggering here, it's like looping them on top of each other, right? It's like happening multiple times because it's long. It's like you're getting all it's like this long recording, like playing on top of itself,
Is this
from
you
different-
playing some voice cello?
Yeah. Yeah, it's from like a project from forever ago. I just kind of pulled it off. Pulled my hard drive earlier.
I feel like it's nice to work with texture samples with that specific technique, like how the crunch remembrance you showed us. Because I mean, I love these instrument samples, but I feel like with the textures, there's just more ways to be creative with how you sort of do the sound,
Yeah.
tap and whatever.
Definitely. And, like, I don't know, this is just really, like,
You wanna try that? Yeah.
I don't know what to put it on. You put it-
okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know, so, I mean, that's basically my process in a nutshell, and again, I don't know, it's just something that I messed around with, and, like, I'm by no means, like,
If
you
we
know.
spill water in that, it's gone, right?
No, it'll be fine, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. And that's like the things that you can like imagine with it are endless. That's so cool.
Do you record that, or is it just us hearing? Do you?
We could record it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's all set up to record. All I have to do is press record.
Do you mind?
Something.
Oh, do you need another?
Just trying to think what's
There's
gonna
no
work
can
with the
here,
can,
but-
so maybe something else. No, toucans.
I have two quick questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Plastic. Can I borrow
So,
that one?
my
What
one
was
was
the-
You were like,
one sample.
Oh,
Is there
it
some
was-
type of software that's like
Here's some cellophane.
could take in more variables, like at X time,
know
this
how-
sound triggers?
Yeah, I know one person that specifically has done this through Ableton.
Yeah.
And you can use it to like as like an instrument. So it's like if you're like hitting these samples in an instrument, like each time you hit it, it'll play like a different note each time, right? And it just like kind of, you can like cycle through things to like, create different textures that way.
There's probably many ways.
Yeah,
So you're only
totally.
22%,
And that's
that's why you
like
can actually
specifically
hear your
using like
sound
performance
based on the
software,
channel
I think is like
72.
the way to go with that. I am not that kind of musician, I think it's great, but like I just don't have like that experience. But you totally do that, and I think that would be awesome.
And they're also only triggered by threshold. Could you do like frequency or the mic sounds?
I don't see why not. Yeah, I think that some of the more like fancy trigger software it has like what am I trying to say? It has like different EQs and stuff, and so you could pick up like more specific information.
Applies that.
Like that. And and that's like a lot of the trigger software that exists is for drums, because people use it in recording to do like drum replacement, so you're just like replacing the drums. But I don't know, I like to use it in this kind of way where it's just I don't know, you're just doing like something weird with it. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're wrapping up here.
Thank you so much. I want
so cool.